I was 5 years old in 1985. I was born in Los Angeles and I lived in West Hollywood with my mother, my brother, my sister. We grew up very poor. We lived in a single room apartment in some really junky, seedy motel right there in West Hollywood, right off in the corner of Sunset and San Vicente. We lived catty corner from the world famous club, the Whiskey A Go Go. So this junky motel, right next to it was a field, and in this field, remember this very old, scary black man used to come out and scare me, my brother, my sister every time we walked by his field. He had built this house out of tree branches. It was really creepy. One time, me and my brother had went into his house, and he had like this diary was just like a bunch of this weird nonsense. And he would always scare us every time we would walk by his house when we would go on the other side of the field to go visit our friends. So our friends were Melanie and Russell. Russell was about 12 or 13 years old. Melanie was 15. Melanie was always chasing after my brother, had a big, huge crush on him. Russell, I was cool with him. He was a little bit older than me. We would ride our bikes and play G.I. Joes or what have you. Their mother, her name was Sandy, very, very beautiful, attractive blonde lady. She was a dancer on a television show called Solid Gold. In case anyone doesn't know what this TV show is basically the white person's version of Soul Train. She was a dancer on that show. And she used to date a rather famous Hollywood celebrity. His name was Don Knotts. In case you don't know who Don Knotts is, he played Barney Fife on the Andy Griffith Show and was also Mr. Furley on Three's Company. And I used to see Mr. Furley rolling down the street in his big old 1985 long old shiny white Lincoln Town car. And he would stop by, jump out, pick Sandy up, and he dressed quite a bit just like Mr. Furley on the television show. He'd go pick her up and they'd go do whatever it is that they do. So me and Russell would hang out. We'd play G.I. Joes, ride our bikes, what have you, go around the neighborhood. So I remember one time, it was a really great dreary day, and we were riding our bikes, just hanging out, doing whatever. And it started raining. So it rained really hard, got all wet, and we ran into his laundry room in his apartment building to get it out from the rain. So we're just sitting there, and all of a sudden he pulls out a magazine. He goes, "Hey, check this out." So I'm looking at it, and it's a magazine with a bunch of naked men in it. Me being 5 years old at the time, not knowing what I'm looking at. Knowing but not knowing, I'm looking at it, and I'm like, okay, naked guys, whatever. What are you going to do? And he told me, "Doesn't that look cool?" And I remember this. He kept asking me, "Doesn't that look good? Doesn't that look cool?" I'm 5 years old, man. What do you want? I don't know. So I'm like, yeah. I remember saying, yeah, sure, that looks awesome. And he's like showing me like other pictures of guys doing unspeakable acts with other guys. I'm 5 years old. I don't know what's going on. I'm just playing along with him. And then he turns around and he starts rubbing himself against the wall right next to the washer and dryer. So he starts like rubbing his pelvis against the wall. He goes, "Hey," he goes, "why don't you do this? It feels real good. It feels real good." And I'm like, all right, well, I'll try anything twice. So I started rubbing myself against the wall just like he's doing, because I think he's a pretty cool guy. And I don't know, he said it feels good, so I'll give it a go. So I started doing that, right? And then that was it. We rubbed ourselves against the wall. And then I told him, "Hey, I gotta go because we're supposed to go visit my grandmother. And I don't want to be late because my mom's going to get all whoop-de-whoop with me." So I grabbed my bike and I left. Went into the car, went to go visit my grandma, and that was it. I often don't tell this story to people just because I never felt that it was a big deal. I told my sister last year, she was kind of shocked that this actually happened. But karma is a mofo, because about 2 years after that happened, Russell was surfing off Santa Monica Pier and was attacked by a shark, and he almost got killed. He went to the same junior high as my brother, so he got attacked by a shark, and he was actually in the hospital for a long time, more than a month. And he broke both of his legs, broken arm, he couldn't walk for 6 months. I'd never seen him again after that, after we moved away from that motel. But he was banged up pretty bad. I guess you can say he got what he deserved. To end this story, it's a really sad note. So Melanie, my sister always wondered, what happened to Melanie? What happened to Melanie? You know, because she liked her. So my sister calls me about 6 months ago. And she says, hey, she goes, I found Melanie. And I'm like, oh, okay, where's she at? And then she started crying, and she goes, she died. And I started getting upset for my sister. I love my sister. I don't want to, see her get upset. So I'm like, what happened to her? Like, I don't know the girl, but, I remember her. She was, nice. And I got her name, started Googling her. And basically what I came up with is she had moved to New Orleans. She got hooked on drugs, became a prostitute, and came up missing back in 2006, somewhere around that time. And then about 3 or 4 years later, they found some bones, human remains, somewhere in New Orleans. And they took it, and I guess an examiner studied the dental records, and it matched the arrest record of Melanie. They got her dental records. There was about 3 or 4 similar instances where prostitutes came up missing in the New Orleans area, and they never did catch the killer. So this could have been the work of a serial killer that I don't know. She went down the wrong path in life, and unfortunately found herself in a very grisly end to her life. I often think about that girl because, I remember she really liked my brother, and it is what it is. I don't know. Anyways, guys, just a little story, little tidbit, a part of my life that I'd like to share with you guys. So anyways, I'm Black Bigot. Please subscribe if you have not. Until then, I'll be back tomorrow. And to anyone out there, any perverts, keep it in your head.